Hey folks, it's Annette here from Dinners in Canada. So tonight I made the most amazing lamb shank with rosemary and wine. After many years of trying different variations of stews, I've settled on a very simple recipe. However, I do use some techniques that I found from actually cooking Asian broths, which I'll share in a little bit. And this recipe can be interchanged with, a beef stew or even a goat stew. Anyway, let's get cooking. So I'll be starting off with putting in about 2 tablespoons of ghee. You could use regular olive oil. I wouldn't use extra virgin as that would be a little strong. And then putting in half of a roughly chopped red onion. I'll then be seasoning my lamb shanks with salt and pepper, and we'll be popping them in to brown. So I'm putting on the lid and I'll be browning those for about 10 minutes so they can release their juices. Then turn them over and brown the other side. Now that these are fully browned, I'm adding in about 2 cloves of garlic. These are just roughly chopped. Putting back in the lamb shanks and using a very large sprig of rosemary. I will be adding some rosemary a little further on, but for now we'll just be using 1 sprig. Then adding about 2.5 cups of chicken broth and about 1.5 cups of red wine. I then finish that off with 1 teaspoon of Dijon mustard, and I allow these to braise for approximately 3 hours. As you can see here, after about 3 hours, the meat is still not pulling away from the bone, which is fine. So here I am adding in my vegetables, which is celery, carrot, and small cremini mushrooms. So I'm placing all of the lamb back into the dish, and I'm going to cover it and cook for another 1 hour. Once 1 hour is up, you can see here that the meat is pulling away from the bone, so the shanks are done. I do, however, need to reduce that gravy a little bit, so I'm pulling the shanks out and I'm adding the last of my seasonings. And again, I will explain in a moment as to why I'm adding things in at the different stages that I am. But here I'm adding 1 more sprig of rosemary, and I'll be reducing this down until it gets to that thickness that I like. So in terms of layering your dish, one of the things I learned cooking Asian broths is that they tend to add different ingredients into the broth at different times. The reason for this is because different ingredients release their maximum flavor at different times. So say, for example, if you're making a chicken broth and you put in a whole chicken, you don't cover it with water, it will release its maximum flavor at around the 4-hour mark. With your vegetables, such as your carrots, your celery, your onion, etc., those will release their maximum flavor at around 45 minutes to an hour mark. And then with your herbs, such as rosemary, your fresh thyme, etc., those will release at around 15 to 25 minutes. So if your dish is going to take a total of 4 hours, because that's when your meat is going to release its maximum flavor, you want to layer in your different ingredients based on the time when they release their maximum flavor. That way, when the dish is done after 4 hours, everything is releasing its maximum flavor. And you do need to have some fat in your recipe because it's the fat that absorbs all that flavor. And then you have a really delicious dish. Now, you don't have to do that. You can just throw everything in at the beginning. But I do this now with almost everything I cook, and I really think it makes a difference. So I'm finishing this off with about 1 teaspoon of fresh ground black pepper and 1 teaspoon of fresh green peppercorns. While the gravy is reducing, I'm actually just going to make some puff pastry boats. So I just got some store-bought puff pastry, roll out a sheet, cut it in half, and then cut it in quarters. Then I'm going to take each quarter and start to crimp the edges until I have sort of like a little pie. And right at the bottom of that, I'm going to be spearing it with a fork just to make sure that part does not puff up too much. Putting these on a tray with some parchment paper, and then I'll be putting them in the oven at around 375 for 18 minutes. And there you have it, some nice little puff pastry boats. I found that the sauce was really not thick enough and I was hungry, so I wanted to get eating. So I just added in a cornstarch slurry, which was I think a tablespoon of cornstarch and a tablespoon of water. And then we have our final taste test, and we're ready to plate up. This was so amazing, and it was really fun. So I plop on the vegetables onto the puff pastry, and then I just put a shank on top, pour on some au jus, and then I serve this with some pan-fried asparagus. This was really, really delicious. That gravy, it mixed in with the puff pastry, and it was really delicious. It's really simple to do. So anyway, if you guys give this a try, let me know in the comments below, and I hope you enjoyed it. And definitely try that technique of layering in your ingredients at different times to reach your maximum flavor. Anyway, thanks everybody for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.